Welcome back to MindScience, episode 38. In today's video, I'd like to talk to you about a mind control tactic that is currently running rampant in our world. For those of us who are on the awakening path, these can be very challenging times because the majority of our collective is still unawakened to who they are, and therefore still lacks the awareness to recognize these very basic manipulation tactics being used by our world leaders. The Law of One explains that the service to self polarity thrives on psychological manipulation. In the same way that the positive polarity is the path of love, truth, and honesty, the negative polarity is the path of separation, manipulation, and deception. And so these manipulation tactics only work on us because they are actually tactics that our own unawakened minds, or egos, are already doing to us daily. And so when a powerful ruler does it to us, we don't even recognize it. So we need to become aware of this strategy within our own mind if we are to begin healing the damage that it's causing to our world. And that strategy is something that I refer to as false light. Right now, our collective is currently divided into two very distinct categories that we must begin to heal. And all healing begins with awareness. And those two categories are the people, or the populace, and a very small percentage of people with extreme levels of power who want to use that power to control the rest of the people. The powers and the populace. And currently, these two groups of our collective are in a very classic abusive relationship. And we've all been in or known someone in an abusive relationship. The powers are currently playing the role of the narcissistic abuser, and the populace is playing the role of the disempowered enabler. All narcissistic abuse begins with behavior control. And the number one strategy for controlling someone's behavior is false light. For example, "I'm only doing this because I love you." Or, "You're not allowed to go out without me anymore because I need to protect you. I need to know that you're safe." Or perhaps, "I need all of your passwords to your emails and text messages because I need there to be transparency in this relationship. You would never hide something from me, would you?" So a narcissistic abuser will always present it as a free choice, but will always tag on some form of consequence at the back end if their preference isn't chosen, such as, "If you can't do that for me, then I can't be in this relationship anymore." So it's no longer a free choice, but a type of psychological blackmail. It's putting someone under psychological duress. And so if the enabler is disempowered enough, they will believe that the abuser's motives are virtuous and pure and will just continue to give away more and more control of their life. We've all justified wrongdoings in our mind because everyone is the hero in their own story. This is the basic nature of the ego. It will always posture itself as being the good guy, no matter how evil or selfish or violent and destructive its actions are. It has to see itself as the hero, and it will use any ridiculous argument it needs to justify its actions. Even a murderer in the act of murdering someone is justifying their behavior as righteous. "This is a bad, evil person who deserves to die. I'm doing the universe a favor by eliminating them. The world will be a much better place once they're gone. Aren't I so virtuous?" As the old saying goes, the devil always comes clothed as an angel of light. And so false light, in essence, is whenever a selfish motive is presented as a selfless motive, or whenever a negative is disguised as a positive. The Law of One describes that power in and of itself automatically polarizes to the negative. In fact, any societal structure where one class of people rules over another, any form of hierarchy or any time that one person has freedoms another person doesn't have, is in and of itself a negative societal structure. And it makes perfect sense that we fall so easily for false light tactics, because most people still aren't even sure what real light even looks like. For example, in a truly enlightened civilization, there are no rulers, no governments, and no one who controls enormous sums of wealth or resources. All of these things would be considered corruption in an enlightened civilization. On a fourth density planet, everyone thrives together because everyone has everyone else's best interest in mind. Everything is accomplished through community, through mutual accountability, through positive reinforcement, and group decision making. So we do have quite a ways to go before we arrive there, but the first step we must take is that we must become absolutely clear what the difference is between darkness and the light. So let's begin by asking this very important question. What is light? Light is love in physical form. It is the first quality of the Creator made manifest into physicality. It represents the Creator's love, or oneness, as everything in the universe is made of light, photons vibrating at different densities. And so the physical qualities of light are representations of the metaphysical qualities of love. On our planet, the sun is the source of all light. So let's consider the qualities of sunlight. The first quality of sunlight is that it is self-luminous, which is to say that it is its own source and depends on nothing else. This represents the quality of love that is self-empowerment. Empowerment means strong, self-responsible, and self-sustaining. An empowered being is one who needs nothing from anyone. The second quality of sunlight is that it is pure. It cannot be contaminated, which spiritually speaking means that it is authentic. A being of light is pure of heart and pure of intention. They have no hidden agenda, and their words and their actions will always be congruent. The third quality of light is that it is unconditional. Just like love, light does not pick or choose where it shines, but gives itself to all with perfect equality. The fourth quality of sunlight is that it is healing or life-giving. Everything depends on light for its survival, as everything is made of light. This is why, in the light of love, all beings are equal and seen as one, as we are all emanating from and equally dependent on our source. The fifth quality of light is that it is illuminating or revealing. Light illuminates darkness and reveals everything it touches with full transparency. Light cannot hide anything, and so a being of light will always be full of integrity, honesty, and transparency. There is only one light in the universe. It needs nothing from you and asks nothing of you. It is unconditional, self-luminous, and free. And these are the attributes of love. Love knows no bargaining and no reward. It thinks nothing of itself and only looks to serve and to give itself freely, with no expectation of reward. And so anything which presents itself as the light, which asks something of you, creates conditions, causes fear, or divides you from anything else, is not the true light. So just as there are 5 qualities of light, there are also 5 main qualities of false light that will always give it away. And we can see what these qualities are by simply taking the 5 qualities of light and inverting them. And by familiarizing ourselves with these characteristics, we will be able to see false light coming from a mile away. Whether it's happening in our society, in our personal relationships, or within our own mind. The number 1 quality of false light is victimization. False light will always paint every scenario as a victim and a victimizer. These are the only 2 categories that exist in the universe, so you're either one or the other. It will always speak to your true nature as being something that's fragile and delicate and in need of constant protection. And of course, the negative polarity will always provide you with that protection. But the light is always empowering and never victimizing. So anything other than absolute self-responsibility and self-empowerment is a dead giveaway of false light. The second quality of false light is inauthenticity. Words and actions that do not align. And this is why whenever you want to know what polarity someone's truly coming from, simply ignore whatever they say and pay attention solely to what they do. For example, if someone were to lock down an entire state and mandate that they must wear masks outdoors and obey tight curfews, all in the name of their protection and safety, but that same leader continually gets caught at extravagant parties and dinners without wearing a mask, that would be someone who's clearly using false light tactics to control people. You will always know that someone is full of light when their words and their actions are congruent with one another. The third quality of false light is conditions. Wherever false light goes, division and separation is sure to follow, because everything is conditional. Your value is always determined by something external. You have to do this thing, or believe this ideology, or be a part of this group to be one of the righteous ones. That's the condition. And so if people behave or think differently than us, they're clearly evil. And this is the way that all wars and genocide in world history have been justified. They deserve it because they're evil. And we can make a better world if we just get rid of them. So good things are always conditional upon doing bad things first. Peace through war. Unity through division. This is a classic example of false light. The fourth quality of false light is depletion. In the same way that the positive polarity is radiating, the negative polarity is magnetic or absorbing. So it's always pulling energy into itself. And so much like a parasite that lives off of its host, false light ideologies will deplete you over time. One of these false light ideologies currently running rampant in our society today is called wokeness, which basically says that living your life believing that everyone is inherently evil at the core makes you a good person. And so people who believe these ideologies will become even more cynical and opinionated and disconnected and closed off and delusional to reality over time. And of course, carrying these kinds of judgments is very exhausting to the energy centers, which is exactly what the negative polarity wants, because a weak person is much easier to control than a strong person. The fifth and final quality of false light is concealing. False light must always hide the truth at all costs, because the truth always liberates. And so true light will never push anything away, because light has nothing to fear. But false light will do whatever it can to cover up the truth. It might call the truth a conspiracy or dangerous. It may try to censor the truth or demonize a people group who believe in that truth with hateful sounding labels. The negative polarity is extremely unstable in its nature and prone to breaking down very easily. So it must keep an absolutely tyrannical death grip on information so that its true motives won't be revealed. The light needs no defense because what is true cannot be threatened. So anytime anyone is discouraging you or stopping you from looking in a certain direction, you can be absolutely certain that that is coming from false light. So in conclusion, how do we overcome false light when it is presented to us? What is the proper way to respond to all of these catalysts in the world today? The short answer is by simply being true to your polarity. If you are a being of the light, then you cannot agree with anything that asks you to divide yourself from others, to see yourself as a victim, to violate your integrity, or to infringe on anyone's free will. The positive path simply does not and cannot comply with the tactics of the negative path. Instead, we send them love, forgiveness, and compassion as we peacefully decline to participate in their games. When we stop empowering false light by cooperating with it, it loses all of its power. We only ever have to be true to who we are. Earth has just entered into the fourth density, which means that the planet must begin to draw a line between the two polarities. During this time, the contrast between the light and the darkness will grow extremely intense, and this is a natural part of the evolutionary process of planetary polarization. The universe is giving us all a test to see where our loyalty lies. Are you loyal to the light only up to the point where your material comforts are threatened, or once you're confronted with fear? There is no judgment in these reactions, as these are only learning opportunities. But when you serve and honor the light, it will serve and honor you. This is the law of attraction. You cannot attract positive energy by cooperating with negative energy. If you align with the negative karma in the world today by agreeing with it, you are going to continue experiencing more of that negative karma. Every closed door in our life represents an open door somewhere else. It is always a catalyst to trust and surrender more. As the ancient proverb says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." So, in conclusion, I'd like to encourage you to lean into these challenges of our time with full faith and assurance. This is your destiny. Your soul came here for such a time as this. The choices that we make here and now will echo through eternity. This is what we came here for. Where else can the light shine but in the darkness? Now is our time to shine. A star is only beautiful and radiant because it is surrounded by darkness. We are the light of the world, and our light is love, forgiveness, and compassion. To be the light is to realize that separation is where unity has meaning. Fear is where love has power, and darkness is where the light finds its purpose.